Messenger, originally released in August of 2018 but just recently on PlayStation and Xbox, is an action platformer game that reminds us about the days of old. Like so many other indie games today, it features catchy chiptunes, beautiful pixel art, and a sharp sense of humor. While this style, originally being popularized by games like Cave Story and Shovel Knight, isn't fully belonging to the Messenger, I'm going to detail a few reasons why this game left such a lasting impression on me, and why I feel like it's a cut above so many other games like it. Spoiler alert, this game has a twist. It comes about halfway through the game, and its implications have a much greater impact than on just the narrative. We, along with the player character, initially believed this game just to be a straightforward level-based action platformer. Around the 6-hour mark, we find out that our original objective was just a test, a trial to see if we were up to joining a league of ancient and future time warriors. We learn that the linear NES-style levels we were previously playing took place in the past, and now here in the future, the game opens up into a SNES-style Metroidvania-type hub-based world. This is brilliant. This is extremely simple commentary applied to a gameplay mechanic that just absolutely blows the player away and subverts expectations. This simple twist heightens the game from just another nostalgia bait game into something new, something of its own genre in a way. I struggled to think of another game that pulled off this kind of bait and switch. A lot of other games include segments where controls or gameplay elements are changed, but never a genre switch halfway through. They even carry it through in more subtle ways as well. Once we have access to the hub, the Ninja Gaiden style level intros disappear, our character design becomes more complicated, and more level gimmicks are introduced. The next largest and my personal favorite element of the game is the graphics. Any good retro game should have fantastic pixel art, and the Messenger is no slouch. Pixel art is unique to the medium. Born out of necessity and popular with indie games today, pixel art is distinctly video game. The Messenger is absolutely beautiful. What I've noticed about a lot of the other retro throwback games is the art is kind of erratic. Oftentimes the character, the backgrounds, and the enemies will all be in varying styles. Caught somewhere between 8 and 16-bit, it isn't clear what these games are actually trying to imitate. Even Shovel Knight, basking in its NES nostalgia, includes graphics and animations that would be impossible to replicate on the very thing it's trying to emulate. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. At its worst, it can seem unfocused or a little confusing. At its best, you don't even realize that it's there, with the art and animations blending perfectly together. The Messenger takes a different approach. With the narrative of the game taking place in two different time periods, the past is beautifully represented by 8-bit style graphics with a smaller color palette, less animations and details, and even topped off with a simpler version of the music. The future amps those pixels up to 16-bit, with cleaner, more detailed sprites and colors that are a little more subtle. This is all punctuated with a soundtrack that becomes more complicated as you shift between time. The Messenger goes beyond just surface level 8 to 16-bit graphical change. It's the little touches that really make me smile, such as the past NES-style graphics having still, static backgrounds as opposed to the future SNES style with moving backgrounds that imitate the animated or scrolling backdrops that were so popular in that era. Small touches like this communicate to me that the developers had a deeper understanding and a greater love for the medium as a whole. I cannot praise the seamless transition between the two time periods and the graphical styles enough. Portals mid-level let you shift between time and space, letting you access areas that are open in one time period but not the other. The art, the gameplay, and the music, it's all one. They play off and intertwine with one another perfectly. Form and content are truly one in this game. Overall, the game is really well polished and just generally super fun to play. It kills you a lot, like any good retro game should, but it's balanced around having checkpoints that are frequent enough to make the challenge feel fair and not repetitive or tedious. The controls are really tight. It feels like there's no input lag between your commands, so much so that the game even makes a joke about it. The game never feels like it's cheating you. Every mistake or player death was your fault and your fault alone. I do have some minor complaints though, but I think a lot of indie devs could take a lesson or two from Sabotage Studio. They took the retro-style nostalgia trip and didn't just use it as a backdrop for their game. They used it as a gameplay mechanic. The Messenger is a celebration of old video games, rather than an imitation of one.